and welcome. Cybersecurity is such a hot topic, as you see around here on the fairground. If you want to drive digitalization, cybersecurity is a prerequisite. And in order to give you some numbers, why cybersecurity is so important, I will show you some. 75% of companies experience a cyber attack within the last year. And therefore, 32% of cyber attacks are targeted in the IT, but also in the OT. In the OT is where you're making your money, where your whole value chain is. And guess how much you're losing if your OT environment is all of a sudden, due to a cyber attack, down. It costs you 10,000 of euros a minute. And the average downtime in OT after ransomware attacks is 24 days. 24 days, not producing, nothing is working anymore, 10,000 a minute. That's a lot of number if you're not protected. And on the other side now, regulations are kicking in. And you might heard about the NIS2. And the NIS2 is especially focusing on a lot of sectors, but also on critical infrastructures. They are the ones which are heavily affected by cyber threats, because we all want to have water, for example. And water industry is one of the critical infrastructures we want to deep dive on, how to protect the water industry. And how to better do this with a practical example from one of our customers of Waterschap Limburg. Please welcome our experts on stage. Hamza from Roots, our cybersecurity expert from Waterschap Limburg, and Paul from Siemens, who supports the cybersecurity strategy. Welcome to stage.
Thank you.
Take a seat. Yeah, sure. So, Hamza, let's talk a little bit about Waterschap Limburg. What is this all about? Give us some figures and facts.
Yeah. Waterschap Limburg, as a waterboard company, is responsible for critical infrastructure in the province of Limburg in the Netherlands. And they basically are responsible for an area of around or over 2,000 square kilometers and around 1.2 million residents. And we basically have hundreds of assets, including pumping stations, water treatment facilities, and also flood control assets.
Mm-hmm. And that's a lot to serve, 1.2 million residents, right, to serve with water. So what triggered you on specifically on the cybersecurity initiative?
Well, when it comes to the OT side of things and cybersecurity, we have a clear mission. One of those missions is safety. Safety for all of our people and residents. In addition, the availability of all these, of the process as a whole, and making sure that everything works and operates continuously. And that's what we stand for and keep doing. And what we see at the same time, as assets get more connected and digital, these risks and challenges have changed, and we have to take these serious, and that's what we do. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely what we do.
And of course, you needed a partner who understands also cybersecurity, right? Which is also an expert on the OT level and have the experiences also for the water value chain. So, Paul, coming from the Siemens perspective, what have been the next steps? As you saw, this cybersecurity topic is one of the major challenges they are facing. What have been the next steps to tackle that topic?
Well, to approach the cybersecurity topic, we started, in fact, with a quite simple question, and that was, what do we need to protect? And that was the main question, I would say. So we started by assessing Waterschap Limburg's OT landscape, their control networks, and also their assets. And also very important were the data flows. After that, we sit together and we did a workshop together. And there we discussed, okay, what are the requirements? And we developed a proof of concept to continue and to start our journey, I would say.
Hamza, that started a collaboration, right?
Yeah, and I have to say that the collaboration was very pragmatic, and one of the main points is that from a Siemens perspective, they were able to cover our challenges, which was the limited visibility from a cybersecurity perspective in that OT environment, and also the 24/7 monitoring of that environment. You know, as cyber incidents don't happen during office hours, you know, they can happen around the clock. So it was really relevant that this 24/7 eye on our environment was important. And from that collaboration, that pragmatic collaboration, we were really interested in getting a sense of the assets that we have. You know, of course, Waterschap Limburg is aware of the assets that they have, but at the same time, we wanted more details. What are the details of these assets? What risks do they have? And at the same time, you have hundreds of assets where you don't know what's going on. So that's definitely a relevant part that we talked about intensively. And also the vulnerabilities that come with these assets. How can we reduce the attack surface of that area? And lastly, but also really relevant, is anomaly and threat detection, that if things happen, that we are aware, that we know what's going on, and that happens from a broad area. This information comes from all over the network, but also from logs from network equipment.
So you gained the transparency, you looked into the vulnerabilities and things, so you have a broad view now on the assets you want to protect. Paul, what was then the next step?
Well, with our managed services, we offer an end-to-end approach for cybersecurity monitoring and vulnerability management. And I think it will be on the board as here as well. And we call that within Siemens our remote industrial operation services with a cybersecurity operation center as a service. What does that contain? Well, it is about 24/7 threat detection and incident response for OT environments. All from our global OT security operation center managed. And as you can see also on the picture, you see the Cynic security monitor that we use for asset discovery and also for vulnerability management. And this same Cynic security monitor is also being used for the anomalies in the OT network, which is also seamlessly integrated into our cybersecurity operation center, as you can see on the top. Within our SOC, the data is being processed by our team using AI and skilled service experts. And they are doing the analysis and triage and sorting out fault positives. Suspicious activities are identified, of course, and mitigation measures are being triggered. For example, incident response, like isolating compromised systems. And that, of course, with taking into account that it's an OT environment. And maybe the best part of this all is that the SOC that we are seeing here is the same SOC that protects Siemens' own factories and infrastructure. And that is also being used to protect our customers. And that is what's so great about this model, because the customer is benefit of the same world-class defenses and know-how that Siemens offers, that Siemens also uses internally. And that's quite cool.
And I really like the point you mentioned that the OT SOC is really protecting Siemens itself, and with that expertise, we're protecting now Waterschap Limburg, right?
Exactly.
I think this is a great win-win situation. Hamza, what is the view or perspective from Waterschap Limburg on that end-to-end approach?
Well, in the first place, the end-to-end approach gives us real-time visibility. And that is really relevant from a point of, at the ease, from the office basically, that you have a single pane of glass that you look at what's going on in the environment, again, from that cybersecurity perspective, and knowing that the environment is in safe hands, that you know what's going on, and if something happens, you know that you can act with the right information. Secondly, and that's something we don't necessarily always like, but there are regulations, there are requirements from regulatory bodies, like the NIS2 compliance. Yeah, we have to manage these risks, vulnerabilities, and have this 24/7 detection and build upon that, where we get this information and act in our environment, act in our organization to keep it safe, to be able to do the things we do. And lastly, we really take the benefit of working with an organization like Siemens to get access to that global expertise and information to improve our own organization and continue building upon that.
Thanks for sharing that. And one famous last question I love to ask: what would be the one thing you would tell another operator, for example, in the water industry or any other critical infrastructure, what he should do in one sentence?
That would be to not wait. Really start building that cybersecurity capability. Do what's needed, and start building a resilient environment and go forward.
And what's your sentence, Paul?
Well, I think cybersecurity is an ongoing journey, and it's not a one-time task, you know. So you continuously have to improve that, and organizations across all industries should act now. And by continuously protecting their systems, their data, but also their customers, and protect themselves against new cyber threats, I would say.
Thanks a lot, colleagues. So to summarize, I think an end-to-end approach to prepare customers for NIS2. The OT SOC is a perfect example for such an approach. So really, Siemens means it, right? So cybersecurity is really a part of our DNA. And with that DNA, we are protecting customers like Waterschap Limburg, for example, with an OT SOC and our Cynic Security Monitor. Thanks for joining us on stage.
Thank you.
If you are interested to learn more about our managed service offering, like the OT SOC, please join us right over there on the booth number 83. With that, thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you.